Motorcycles are death machines. I have 3 kids. I'm not risking it.
Are you saying my life matters less because I don't conform to society's heteronormative, child-centric ideals?
Are you really playing the gay card right now?
Yes, Queen.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. DC Comics did not release their February solicitations for 2022 last week, so DC and Marvel likely will both be releasing their full solicitations this week, so I will have videos on that at the end of the week. So we're starting to get some of the details of the things that are going to be released or the new introductions into the DC and Marvel universes. And can I get a yes, Queen? Mary Marvel will be taking over the mantle of Shazam in February 2022. If you're not familiar with Mary Marvel, and I imagine most of you are, the character has been associated with Shazam in the past, but this is the first time I believe that Mary Marvel will be actually referred to as Captain Marvel or Shazam themselves. Also, we are getting a female Goblin. Certainly had lots of Goblin characters in the Spider-Man universe. We are getting a new one. The Queen Goblin is going to be ruling the Spider-Man universe in February 2022. I think there might have been a female Goblin here or there, like maybe once or twice, but this will be the new big female Goblin character. Obviously, this is all kind of it's more of the same. We've been seeing this for quite some time, especially at DC Comics. By the end of 2022, there will be no more straight white male characters or heroes left in the DC universe. There will only be villains. Maybe not so. I'm speaking in jest, but it's not as hyperbolic as it should sound. You know what I mean? That might be a little bit more true than anybody would like to admit. And then over at Marvel Comics, they're taking it to another level. They're not just replacing the heroes, they're replacing the villains, getting a little gender swap going. Obviously, we've seen plenty of gender, race, sexuality swaps within the comic book industry, so this is actually more of the same, but I got to report on it because it's something that has been a point of emphasis here on the channel. So let's talk about the DC Comics change first. Mary Marvel will be taking over the Shazam mantle in February 2022. This continues the DC Comics all new, all different era. We now have a bisexual Superman. We have a black Batman. We have a black gay Aquaman. We have 2 POC Green Lanterns that are left that actually have power rings. We've had a lot of changes. Let's just put it that way. Now we will have a female Captain Marvel in the DC Universe, also known as Shazam. And Mary Marvel will be graduating in the new 4-issue miniseries, The New Champion of Shazam, written by Netflix's She-Ra head writer Josie Campbell with art by Evan Doc Shaner. We'll get into Josie Campbell here in a minute. So that's another, the big issue here is all the swaps as far as gender, race, sexuality, and whatnot going on with the characters. There's another issue that's underlying this with Josie Campbell. We'll talk about that afterwards. Now, if you are not familiar with Mary Marvel, and most of you probably are, this character was created in 1942, generally as a response to the popularity of Captain Marvel themselves. The name Mary Marvel was used, but then legal issues precluded that character from using the name because the DC and Marvel lawsuits regarding Captain Marvel and all that stuff, leading to that character basically becoming Lady Shazam. DC Comics eventually acquired the rights to the character, and Mary Marvel has been theirs since then. This will be illustrated by Doc Shaner, who is no stranger to Shazam, having illustrated Convergence Shazam back in the day. This is what Doc Shaner had to say. For a long time, I just didn't have any interest in returning to anything Shazam related, but I always thought Mary should be the lead of the book for a while, and that was the one time I would return if it ever happened. Well, sir, I got a slow clap for you. You waited it out. You finally got what you wanted. Apparently, not a lot of love for Billy Batson as Shazam, but as long as Mary Marvel is Shazam, Doc Shaner is on board. This feels like the kind of virtue signal that he can get behind. I kid. This is what Josie Campbell had to say. Who Mary Marvel is the very heart of this comic. Who she is, who she wants to be, and the roles that she's either been forced into or has willingly joined into. It's really shining a light on her and her wants and her desires. I have a real doubt about that. I bet it's going to be shining a light on Josie Campbell's wants and Josie Campbell's desires, as most of these things have already been fleshed out with the Mary Marvel character. And of course, they're going to change everything about it, Josie Campbell being that person, to project their modern sensibilities into a character that's been around for 80 years. Continuing on with Josie's quote, as somebody who was part of a superhero team, doesn't have her powers, gets them back, and then she's got a lot of choices suddenly displayed in front of her, and she's going to have to make them real fast. I don't know. What do you guys think the chances are that it's revealed in the new Champion of Shazam that Mary Marvel, in fact, is bisexual or a lesbian? I would say it's at 99.5%, because that's kind of all they know to do at DC Comics these days. This just underscores another thing that I've been talking about, not just the race swaps, the gender swaps, the sexuality swaps, the placing new characters into these mantles so they can change what they've been. Although, in fairness, Mary Marvel has certainly been around a very long time, over 80 years, and has been associated with the Captain Marvel mantle in certain ways. But bringing someone in like Josie Campbell, who certainly, when you look at their body of work, got into the Masters of the Universe, changed it all to fit their wants and their desires, as I was talking about before, got into Superman. I think they were writing the cartoon series, or one of the cartoon series on HBO Max, changes everything that Superman represents and makes the character look like an ass. And it's just, it's more of the agenda pushing. And you bring in someone like Josie Campbell, supposedly it's a big name, right? She-Ra was such a big hit, they didn't cancel it early, did they? It just got renewed and renewed and renewed, right? Because it was so popular. But it certainly spoke to the right audience, the audience that DC Comics would rather court than you and I, the longtime comic book fan. And that's, it's one of the disappointments that you just have to get used to in today's comic book market. If you are a longtime comic book reader, if you like Captain Marvel, Billy Batson, you are not the comic book reader they are looking for. If you like Clark Kent Superman, Truth, Justice, and the American Way, you are not the comic book reader DC Comics are looking for. If you like Bruce Wayne, billionaire, playboy, vigilante by night, you are not the comic book reader DC Comics are looking for. They've made it quite apparent, and they bring these creators in like a Josie Campbell to do the dirty work. What do they call them? They're the new publishers' weapons of mass destruction. They bring them in there. They're like, oh my goodness, we got Josie Campbell. And then they go and destroy a character. And they're like, oh, well that was pretty good. We had to let her do it. She was a big name somebody, even though nobody really knows who Josie Campbell is for anything good as far as what they've done to any characters in the universe. And I don't know. If you're a fan of Billy Batson Shazam, I imagine you're quite disappointed. It's not like we get a ton of Billy Batson Shazam within DC Comics. There is a Shazam associated character in Justice League. It's Black Adam. It's not even Billy Batson. It's not even Shazam. There was an ongoing with Jeff Johns. I'm not sure if there's actually one going on right now. But you don't get to see the character very often. So, of course, they've got to do a massive gender swap. Likely to do a sexuality swap. I'll probably have a seizure if that actually doesn't happen, just based on the things that DC Comics have been doing lately. And it's just more of the same and just more evidence that DC Comics are pushing this agenda. They're pushing it hard, and there's no stopping it. If you are excited about this and you are a fan of Mary Marvel, perhaps this is a comic book that you can get behind. Champions of Shazam will go on sale February 8th, 2022. Now let's talk about the Queen Goblin showing up in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man in February. And this is going to be Amazing Spider-Man 88, and we'll continue playing the new Spider-Man, Ben Reilly, through Amazing Spider-Man number 90. There's certainly been plenty of Goblin characters in the Spider-Man lore. You have the original, Green Goblin, which would be Norman Osborn. We've had the other Green Goblin, which I think was Harry Osborn, but then we've had Hobgoblin, we've had Goblin Knight, we've had Red Goblin, certainly tons of goblins, and I probably missed a dozen goblins here or there that have been introduced, but we are finally getting Yes, Queen Goblin. This is what Spider-Man group editor Nick Lowe had to say. Queen Goblin was one of the coolest ideas from our Beyond Story Summit. We shall see. All the writers were riffing on the concept and character, and when Pat Gleason dug in on the design, we all lost it. In unison, they all said, "Yes, Queen!" You aren't going to believe this new addition to Spidey's Rogues Gallery. What am I supposed to not believe? That you decided to change one of the longtime villains in Spider-Man lore with a female version? Am I supposed to not believe that? A majority of the time, these Goblin characters are all characters that Spider-Man himself knows. Obviously, the Spider-Man that's in there right now is Ben Reilly. So this Queen Goblin is probably his girlfriend that he got released from prison. At least that would be my guess, just based on the history that we've seen with Goblin characters and with what's going on with Spider-Man right now. Now, Patrick Gleason, who I am an enormous fan of, I think has been kicking ass and taking names when given the opportunity to illustrate these Spider-Man Beyond comics. This is what he had to say, and obviously he is writing these as well. I believe actually he's writing issue 89, which will feature Queen Goblin. When Nick and Zeb asked me to help with the character design for Queen Goblin in Beyond, I was thrilled. From that, I take that the idea of Queen Goblin is from Nick Lowe, the group editor, and Zeb Wells, and not actually like the rest of the team. So that's not all that surprising. We went new medieval with some tweaks on the old Goblin toys. What's even more fun is letting her off the chain and watching the rest of the art team like Arthur Adams run with her. The writing team has been working like crazy to make her debut worthy of a queen. Yes, it will be. I'm writing a scene now that will hopefully melt some brains too. I don't know. You want to melt some brains, introduce a character that's not a goblin. How about that one? I think we've had plenty of goblins. Hey, the last new goblin that was introduced, the Red Goblin, ended up doing wonders for old Dan Slott. It's probably the only Spider-Man story he'd written in 5 years that anyone liked. So perhaps we do need more goblins within the Spider-Man universe, and it's time for the Goblin Queen. But as far as we're gonna really surprise you. None of these things are surprising. These are all so commonplace that what is it? It's Tuesday. Yes, we have a female version of an established character. In this case, it's Tuesday and Wednesday because we got two of them. And I'm sure that we will be getting more of these announcements in the days ahead before they do the full solicitation information for February 2022 for DC and Marvel. So those are my thoughts. What do you guys think? Are you excited for Mary Marvel to ascend full-time to the real Shazam mantle? Are you becoming a little bit more skeptical? Are you thinking cynical like I am that it's getting tiresome? Well, actually, it's been tiresome. At this point, it's whatever. Like, I'll make fun of it and I'll make a video and let people know about it. But it's much, it's more the same. Obviously, within Marvel Comics, they are essentially rehashing the same storylines over and over and over. We've been talking about this here on the channel. Shocking. They're going to bring in a new version of the greatest villain in Spider-Man history, the Goblin Queen. Much like I said, more of the same. If you want to melt somebody's brains, do something different. Do something new. Take a chance on something that actually hasn't been done before. That would be mind-blowing in today's comic industry. What do you guys think? Are you excited for the Goblin Queen as well? Or are you more skeptical in cynical nature like yours truly? Definitely want to hear from you guys. And that's the news. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about, I don't remember. We're going to be talking about something. That's the truth. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.